The way it heals you with increased blood flow, it can also increase the size of a tumor. SLU PP 332. Some people think that it's working better when they're sweating more. Oh, I'm starting to feel a little fatigued. I must be burning calories like crazy. If you're experiencing those side effects, it means you're not utilizing it correctly. So you're just dumping it in the most efficient manner, which is through heat. Your oxidative stress, generally at that point, you really need to stop using it and utilize. I've written a few posts on the damage that anabolics do to the brain. That actually has been shown to repair the brain in traumatic brain injuries after seizures.
With those type of things where it's like, 3,000 times more potent than BDNF, on paper, 3,000 times more powerful, but it's more complicated than that.
If you have bad wiring to begin with and you're creating more bad wiring, something like and reduce that anxiety and help them get ready for bed, that's a top tier. Utilize a lot of glutathione during that time. And then in a month, I checked my CRP again. In 30 days, it went from 20 to less than 1, utilizing the right antioxidants, but then also coming off of the right kick. Certain people can build tolerances pretty quickly, and you don't want to keep upping the dose of anything that's messing with your brain. Certain nootropics work better intranasally, other ones work just fine orally. You have to make sure you're utilizing the right delivery mechanism for whichever one that you're talking about, not just whatever you see on sale.
What's up, bro homies? So the new transparent shirt is finally out, and I just wanted to thank you guys so much because, to be honest, I don't know if I've expressed my thanks enough to you guys, but this podcast has probably been the most meaningful thing that I think I've ever created, I've ever really delved my time into, and I just wanted to thank you guys for giving me this opportunity because I really would not be here if it wasn't for all of y'all. And as cliche as it may all sound, the power to be able to have a voice and discuss these issues that we have all dealt with has been something that I think I felt a lot of fulfillment through because of just how much we've been able to connect with each other. So we finally have the shirt, the hoodie, and the pants all on this site. Basically, and the site is AICONS, AYKONS.com/collections/transparent. And 3 pieces there for you to get. So we try to make it as cheap as reasonably possible because the company that we work with does upcharge quite a bit extra for the base price for shipping and handling and packaging. And this is all everything that we kind of needed to have implemented because, to be honest with y'all, I have never dealt with clothes before, never dealt with any of this crap before, so I have no absolute clue what I'm doing. But basically, because of the prices, I felt bad that the shipping was expensive, so I have a code Nile for you guys to use to get 10% off of everything that you're buying. So hopefully that kind of helps compensate just a little bit. But because of this, not having enough product is going to be an issue, and they'll be able to send out your product to you within 2 days, and then the shipping should be about 7 to 12 days, at least as according to the site. So maximum, you'll get your thing in 2 weeks. If you guys need anything, please feel free to reach out. I'll be here. I'll answer your questions. DM, this is the community, so I'll be here the entire time. Yeah, I really appreciate you guys because I wouldn't be here without you. So thank you guys so much, and let's get this ball rolling. Keep trading hard. So I got the most knowledgeable creator and manufacturer of a peptide company that I know. And then some of you guys recognize this guy. The first guest on my podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason I started talking about PEDs at all.
Oh, yeah. Put him on the dark side.
Yeah.
Go from the great side to the dark side.
Yeah. It's all your fault, bro.
Yeah.
But I was thinking I never really delved too deep into peptides on the podcast. Sometimes we'd come over it with like our guests and stuff, but like I have a lot of questions about peptides in the course of the last several months. And sometimes I feel like the peptide questions are almost more prevalent than the actual gear questions themselves, which is insane to me. But with the substantial growing of this industry, thought it would be a good idea for us to deep dive into some peptides, because to be honest, Mike has taught me like a majority of the stuff I feel like I know about peptides. Every time I feel like I know something, he says something, and I'm like, yeah, I don't. So I wanted to ask you first, though, because I think your story is very phenomenal, and I think it puts, in my personal opinion, gives you a lot of credibility in the space, and also has, I think, if someone starts something, it's always more powerful if they have a genuine reason in relation to themselves or their families. So I want to ask you why you started a peptide company in the first place, what got you into peptides in the first place, what got you researching peptides in the first place, just how did this all start?
Sure. So I first got into researching peptides because I have Crohn's disease, and I was going through all the medications at that point. I've been on Remicade, I've been on Humira, the probiotic that they put you on, heck, even chemo for a short period of time. and I was just running through them. I was running out of options.
What was like the story of you going through the process of realizing you have Crohn's disease, and then, because I remember you telling me like some crazy shit, to be honest.
Yeah, honestly, it wasn't too fun to figure out that I had Crohn's, because back then, especially, this is 10, 15 years ago, it was just a process of elimination. So it was really test after test. Not much was being done at first. So I'd wind up in the hospital and just in extreme pain. And they'd just stick me on painkillers, and they're like, well, you're not dying. Go home.
Yep.
And then you start going to GI doctors, and they're like, well, maybe you have ulcerative colitis. Well, it seems more advanced than that, so maybe it's something else. And you just start trying different medications to figure out what worked. And then all of a sudden, when a medication starts working, they're like, oh, well, it looks like you have Crohn's as a result by default.
Yeah, process of elimination.
Exactly, process of elimination. There was no definitive test that they were running at that point in time. And so just running through all of those, constantly in pain, lost a ton of weight during that time. I had been a strongman and an open bodybuilder at that time. Went into the hospital. I was in the hospital for 30 days straight. Had 2 surgeries during that time. I came out as a fat 180. I went in at 240. And so at that point, it was, I need to do something different. This isn't working. So I started researching, well, what was Crohn's? What's causing my pain? All right, it's inflammation. It's, okay, what can help me on the inflammation side of things? Then I started finding BPC 157 was effective at reducing intestinal inflammation. Then I started taking BPC 157, started taking the oral version of it since it stays in your intestinal tract, and started feeling better. It took a little while for it to start working, but over the last 6 years now, I've just been on BPC 157, occasionally oral KPV as well, if I feel like a flare-up coming on, and I've been off of all of the other medications. So I haven't had to take any harsh pharmaceuticals, immune-suppressing drugs or anything for the last 6 years at this point in time. So that's how I originally got into peptides. I was buying them, from various sources, things like that I was able to find online. It was a little bit hard to find, some trusted sources, especially beginning like 10 years ago or so. But then I was thinking, okay, I know how to do this. I have 21 years of manufacturing experience. I can find a manufacturer to do some co-manufacturing with me. And that's what I did. I started researching different manufacturing facilities that I could partner with. And I started making my own. The price was a heck of a lot better at that point in time. And I was able to hold it to higher standards too, that I'm used to in the manufacturing space. I've done everything from cars to food, worked in the medical field as well for a while. So I know what good standards are. Started producing them for myself. And then that's how I started APR, essentially, at that point. I wanted to offer high quality products at a reasonable price for our researchers, because these things help people, and the more research we get on this stuff, the better it is for the general public. And so I opened APR, and then, we also have a charity wing of the company as well, because the whole point is to help people, whether that's through peptides or through charitable contributions too. So last year, I was pretty proud of it. We were able to donate over $50,000 to different charities, whether that was children's charities, first responder charities, and then also military as well, so veterans.
Gotcha. How much are we going to be self-incriminating on this podcast?
I was just kind of thinking about that.
This is all for our lab rats.
Yeah, it's for the rats.
Yeah. I'm assuming you're going to run a disclaimer.
We're storytelling.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Exactly right.
Also, just saying, we're going to talk about this in all seriousness, with maybe some anecdotes and just what we know, but obviously not doctors and not suggesting any of this. But it is fire, though.
Medical advice.
Didn't you have a situation? I don't know how open you are with it, but didn't you have a situation with your partner where?
Yeah. So I was gonna mention that actually, because we just met the other day and just talking about the autoimmune issues. It's kind of funny how that lined up because, you know, for me, it was a little different for the peptides, for the hormones. You know, I got into it more just for the cosmetic side of things, when it looked better, be bigger, be stronger. You know, and as I got older, the backing behind that kind of started to fade away, and I'm like, man, there's got to be more to this, right? And initially, it was just steroids. You know, peptides occasionally, but just if it kind of fit my needs. And you know, I have a girl. Her name's Chloe, and she. You know, she's been dealing with a lot of autoimmune issues. She's had it since she was younger. She's type 1 diabetic, destroyed her pancreas, hypothyroid, all that stuff. And recently she just had a really bad flare-up, you know, super bad to the point where, you know, we were just scratching for answers, kind of the point where she was in the ER constantly, couldn't move, couldn't walk, constantly in pain. And it was pure inflammatory. So the process of that really helped me dive into peptides and just kind of see, like, specifically, like, what can we do to fix this, you know, like whether it's the KPV, the BBC, the TB, VIP. There's so many autoimmune regulators, and just kind of getting into the studies of it, we started just kind of throwing protocols at her. And, you know, the good thing about it was that she never got worse, and it was slowly getting better as we figured things out, you know. So the KBV has been really effective. The VIP has been helping a lot too, and just kind of dialing it down to where she's at the point where she's pretty much fully recovered in the matter of months. You know, and I think in her case, because, you know, we were blessed to be in the situation where her dad and me were kind of in the same space where we're able to give her the resources for the peptides. She was able to fix it pretty quick, but, you know, God forbid she's in a situation where it's not like that. And it's just so much worse because, you know, they're throwing all these basically immune suppressants at her, just hoping that it's going to fix something. And it's like, you're kind of nuking the system. You know, you're not being very specific with what you're doing. And then, yeah, it might fix this issue, but it's going to cause 10 other issues. And now you got 10 other autoimmune issues. You know, it's a cascade system. So, yeah, that whole process just kind of opened my eyes to, like, man, this stuff, you know, it's an extremely effective source to fix, you know, specifically autoimmune issues.
That's the great thing about the peptides, is that they can attack specific issues versus a drug that's kind of just blanket, you know, napalming a bunch of different areas. Like with the autoimmune, when you're suppressing the immune system, I know when I was on those and I was traveling for my corporate job at the time, you know, someone would sneeze on an airplane. I was like, well, shit, I'm getting sick. I'm
screwed.
I picked up every virus every time I traveled anywhere. So if I wasn't in the hospital for, you know, a Crohn's flare up, I was in the hospital because I caught some nasty virus. And it was really hard to fight off.
And I mean, you know, too, it's when you think about the evolution of medicine, there's something to say where, you know, we're getting more specific with the medications. And when you get into peptides specifically, you know, as long as the studies are lengthy enough where you can get an understanding of what it does specifically, the interactions, it's kind of like a surgical procedure for your body. You know, the specificity of those peptides is going to be the thing that makes it so powerful. Because, you know, it's specific. So, you know, if you lose a toe, it's not going to regrow it necessarily. But, you know, for very specific reasons, if you know what it does, it's gonna fix that without causing the cascade of other issues, which a lot of medication does. You know, it really is just a nuke. It's like, it fixes it, but it also, we don't really know what it does with, you know, 1,000 other interactions. It's kind of a question mark.
Something we were discussing the other night that you kind of brought up right now with the interactions, you know, the importance is doing your research too in this space, you know, with the peptides. You need to make sure that there aren't other interactions with things that you're taking. You know, it's not necessarily a space for lazy individuals. You need to make sure that you're doing your own research and your own due diligence on exactly what you're taking. Because there are some people that just throw the kitchen sink and they wind up taking, you know, 10 peptides at a time, which you have no idea what the implications of that are going to be. I mean, we were talking about it too, you know, because for Optimize, you know, I run a telemedicine, it's an HRT peptide clinic. You know, we're talking about all the bad blood between research chemical companies, you know, clinics, and really it shouldn't be like that, because at the end of the day, there's a complete distinction between the two, you know, and the people that are willing to do the due diligence, there's honestly more potential for their specific needs with research chemicals because they have the better options. There's more of a supply. We have more of a catalog.
There's more of a catalog. And if you know what you're doing, that's the way to go. And then, you know, vice versa, if you're just like, man, I just don't really know, I don't want to put in the time for the research, you know, something like a clinic would be good because they have those checks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Legally, you're able to provide specific instructions on how to use things that you sell through telemedicine.
Yes.
As a research chemical company, I cannot provide instructions on how to use anything. These are all for research purposes. People need to be responsible on how they're performing their research.
Yeah.
Versus telemedicine can give play-by-play.
Yeah.
Here's how much to take, things like that, when to take it.
Yeah, yeah. And the pigeonholes, we're limited with what we can prescribe. We're just talking about compounds. I won't get to the specifics, but there's certain compounds that we cannot prescribe as a telemedicine company that as a research chemical, you guys can prescribe that. And they are very effective medications. Right. So, it's this market, like there's no reason for the bad blood between the two. No. It shouldn't be like that.
Yeah.
Well, not prescribed, but I know what you're getting at.
Yeah, I do not prescribe any peptides.
Yeah. Just for the lab rat, though.
Yeah, for the lab rats.
For your hamsters at home.
Yeah.
I was thinking a cool angle to attack this at would be setting up and talking and discussing the peptides, maybe in some sort of like tier list. I know it's a little bit difficult, but it's also a simple way that a lot of people have been just discussing their own opinions on how these peptides are valuable, kind of like the videos that we watched earlier. But the reason that I want to go about it this way is because obviously you guys are both associated with peptides and you both own, or you're both associated with a company that deals with peptides. And I don't like being as salesy as possible. Plus, that's one of the things that I like about you is that you've told me all the positives and negatives dealing with any of these substances. You've always told me the interactions that are associated, anything that I should be a little bit conscious of whenever because, especially in the bodybuilding industry, if I'm being real, all of us that are listening to the podcast, we like to be on the little riskier side of things. So I think it helps, so going off, discussing these, if we can try to, obviously we're going to talk about the benefits, but any interactions that may come up or any situations where there seems to be a huge lack of evidence or huge lack of research in the space associated, we discuss that too.
Yeah. Potential for risk.
Just everything that we can possibly, everything that just possibly comes up in our heads.
Yeah.
So, going down the peptide space, I think the most basic one that everything that comes to mind for everyone is always just BPC and TB first. And I feel like that's also been, in a way, I don't want to say the most benign because it's helped so many people. There's so many anecdotes where people are like, BPC and TB literally saved my elbows or some crazy shit. Or like post-surgery recovery is pretty phenomenal, at least in some of the anecdotes I've seen online. But in regards to side effects, I don't know if I hear very much. I don't know if people ever really hear many disadvantages of taking it.
The only disadvantage really of BPC 157 is if you already have a pre-existing condition like cancer, because the way it heals,
vascular,
yeah, exactly, because the way it heals you with your increased blood flow, it can also increase the size of a tumor.
Cancer rate,
exactly. So, I'm not expecting too many people that have cancer that are going to be doing peptides.
Yeah.
I think they have bigger issues to deal with at that point in time. But, that's something that you want to make sure, do your blood work. There's plenty of, blood testing facilities out there these days that run cancer markers and things like that, which I would recommend doing that blood work before doing any journey, whether that's peptides, anabolics, or anything.
That's a tough thing because I think a lot of people really just skip the cancer screenings or anything like that. Just assume like, I should probably be good for the next 10 years, and then
I haven't gotten so far. I'm fine.
Right. Or there's those people that ignorance is bliss, right? They don't want to see the results of those tests. I've seen that plenty of times, especially with anabolics and things like that. People don't want to know their blood pressure, so they're not checking it every day. But the cost of blood testing has come down so much over the years. Like, just run the test for $40 and then
I wanted to get the Bernoulli scan done at some point, just so that way I had a little all-inclusive test. But one of the doctors I discussed isn't a fan. There's a few doctors that aren't fans of like the Bernoulli because it can create like exclamation marks for places where you end up diving into kind of like false positives down the road, but you end up doing a lot of various testing, and it kind of leads some people to become a little bit anxious of the situation, or maybe like I don't know how much people would believe it in like a self-fulfilling prophecy
I was
or
gonna say that, yeah.
right. But at the same time, like there has to be, I think, some sort of testing. So I just wanted to bring that up as like maybe an awareness over the test, because I feel like it still could be pretty valuable, like especially if you feel like it's in your family, which I think everyone should at least do a little like deep dive into like your family's history.
Yep.
And if that's difficult, try to do one of those genetic tests.
Yeah.
Just try.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that even precedes just peptides. You know, like just in the world we live in, like cancer's a thing.
Yeah,
it's a thing. You know, and I think for the bodybuilding community specifically, you're trying to make your body as efficient as humanly possible, and that includes cancer cells, right? If that happens, so you know, for the bodybuilding community, you're prone to a higher rate potentially. But I think that just kind of it transcends peptides. I think everyone should get tested and do their due diligence for cancer.
for sure, and especially in the bodybuilding space too. I mean, we're not taking longevity doses of HGH.
Yeah.
Taking longevity doses of Tren though. I mean.
Exactly, the mood boosting amount, right? And so that can, you know, obviously proliferate existing cancer cells and things like that too.
Yep.
And then you throw on some of the more advanced professional bodybuilders that are doing increlex and things like that. If they had any existing cells, that would just put the pedal to the metal on,
Totally.
You know, amplifying the number of cells. So
Yeah.
they definitely need to be doing it if you're going down the path of real high dose HGH and or increlex.
Yeah.
What are some of the craziest stories that you've heard in just like the peptide space, or even like the fucking gear supplying space?
Oh man,
you
got to tell them about the vials, the different vials.
Yeah, so I mean, back when I first started doing anabolics, you know, I was getting testosterone. Was my first cycle, and it wasn't very easy to get things, you know, 15 years ago or 20 years ago, and we had the glass ampules, but when I lined them all up, one had like 1.5 milliliters. The next one had only 1 milliliter. The third one had 2 milliliters. It was like past the mark to snap it off.
Yeah.
You never knew where these things were coming. Like, we've come so far in that space.
Totally.
Where now, you know, everyone wants the certificate of analysis for the UGLs even and things like that. But now you can also go through telehealth and for your TRT and things like that. So that was certainly a, you know, roll the dice. Of course, you know, being 25 or so at the time, I was like, oh heck, I'll just take it anyway.
Yeah.
I'm still here, thankfully.
Yeah.
I think in hindsight I should have trusted that.
Yeah. It's funny, man. I think, like, you know, nowadays the discourse of just you know, PEDs, peptides, it's open. You know, you can kind of talk about it. It's not going to be shamed. It's not going to be frowned upon. You know, even 10 years ago it was a whole different story. And I think the problem with that was you see just the crazy stories of just people that, whether they're taking something or they know someone that took something, that, you know, nowadays it's like, that just does not make sense, because no one was talking about it. You know, no one was talking about, like, this is my protocol, this is what I'm doing. There's no discussion happening, and you just see some monstrosities. You know, I think it's
a lot better common sense these days.
Yeah, which is good.
I'll say, for the crazy story on the peptide side, it was actually SARM related on that side, but you know, a lot of research sites also sell SARMs and things like that. So I was taking S4 at the time at what ended up being a quite high dose in hindsight. I was getting ready for a strongman competition, and it was starting to mess with my vision, because S4 impacts all the androgen receptors, including the ones in your retina. And so you can start seeing a greenish tint to things. That's always a good sign.
You're turning the Hulk.
Yeah, exactly. Literally, you're seeing the Hulk effects. And so I had the green eyesight going on. And what it can also impact is night vision. So your ability to go from bright environments to dark environments, or vice versa. And you know, I'm driving home, and this was in Florida, super bright out, right? And I had to park in a dark spot underground. And so I'm driving, everything's a little bit of a green tint, and my now wife sends me a text message, which was her Halloween outfit. I remember she looked great in this very hot, Mad Hatter costume. And so I was paying more attention to that than thinking that I am about to go into a dark space here. Yeah. And I go into a parking garage. I can't see anything. I was totally night blind. Everything just went black. And I drove directly into the pole, like the giant concrete pillar that was right at the entrance to the parking garage, ripped off the bumper of my car. I was like, I don't know which one I should blame, my wife or the S4 for me hitting this pole. Of course it wasn't my fault in my head. But, that was probably the craziest experience I had related to a peptide or SARM.
Yeah.
Kind of expensive too.
Oh, yeah. I was telling you guys, this is
what were you using S4 again? What were you using S4 for?
SARM. I was looking for a strength increase at the time.
Gotcha.
So, being high level strongman, I was looking for any advantage that I could get. Mm-hmm. And, when you have to run quite a bit in strongman, everything's timed, right? There's only so much Tren you can do, or any of these other things. Like, you don't want to be taking Anecdotal. Your blood pressure would shoot through the roof, and you'll blow all your blood vessels before you finish any of the events. So you're looking for something that won't impact your blood pressure as much, but give you a little bit of a strength increase. So that's what I was trying to shoot for, but it didn't really pan out on the strength side, and all it did was take off the bumper of my car.
Yeah.
Fire.
Now we have better versions of it. Some sites sell injectable versions of it where you can just take 25 milligrams or something like that of it, versus back in the day people are running 100 or more.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit smarter approach these days on it, but still I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah. We were talking about too with the SARMs, because SARMs are viable in some cases. And we're talking about, I mentioned, the marketing of it. They really screwed up, because when that stuff came out, the way they made it sound, how it doesn't suppress testosterone, it's so selective, there's no androgenic components to it. And, they were basically just trying to get as many people to buy this stuff as possible. And they ended up just
PCT, nothing.
PCT, and they just screwed up the whole idea of taking SARMs because of it. It's just, it was something that just got too big, too fast. People got hyped up on it, and there's so much stigma that's tied to it now.
Yeah.
Starting from the bottom. So say that we set the peptides up into 3 different tiers. Mm-hmm. What would you say would be at the bottom tier?
At the bottom tier?
Out of anecdotes, out of personal lab rat experiences?
Well, there's some dangerous ones that some of the research sites will sell that aren't even technically peptides, but they list them under research peptides, which you'll never find on my website. Like, it's, we have a moral compass when it comes to that, not just trying to make a buck. There's things like the hit opioid receptors, like dermorphin.
Yeah.
Like, there's no need to be selling something that's 30 times stronger than morphine. Yeah. But some of the sites sell that. So I put that at the absolute bottom tier. It's addictive.
Which sites? Asking for a friend.
I do know which sites. There's actually quite a few that actually will sell that particular one.
Yeah.
So I'd put that one down there. There's also some of the ones that kill fat cells that we were talking about.
Peptide?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'd put that down there at the bottom, because the risk profile on that is so great, and we have so many other tools to lose fat.
Yeah, like eating less.
Heaven forbid you get your nutrition line first. That should be step 1 before you go into anything else.
Don't jump on DNP first.
Yeah.
That thing you do?
Dynamite.
I was going to say, DNP is definitely down there as well. There's certainly still sites that sell that
DNP
too.
is crazy, because you literally cook yourself to death.
Yeah, you're taking TNT igniter. It's a great mitochondrial uncoupler.
My question is, who was the first person to decide to put that on their body?
I can only imagine that they saw all the people getting extremely skinny that were working in the mines, because they did sell that back in 1910 as a fat loss agent.
Yeah.
Because the people in the mines were getting emaciated, being around that, and it can go through your skin. It can be absorbed. So that's what was happening to them. But also, a lot of the mine workers were dropping dead from overheating.
Yeah. Hey man, it's worth it. Be skinny?
Yeah, of course.
Anything's
worth, at any cost. But we have better mitochondrial uncouplers if you really want to go the most advanced route. Anyway,
Totally.
Like BAM 15. You always go that route that has a way less risky profile than something like DNP.
Yeah.
What's the risk profile of adipotide?
Well, one, if you don't inject it correctly, you could be killing your muscle cells.
Localized cells.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. Heaven forbid you wind up getting that into a vein or an artery, anything that's going to take it through your bloodstream, then it's killing cells that you need instead of the fat cells on that side. And it's also really hard on your kidneys, if I recall correctly.
Sounds fun.
That's fun.
Yeah, exactly. Like so many other options out there than that one. So put that one down there.
Yeah.
Anyone like inject into their dick? Sometimes like sometimes it's just a little bit too
I
big,
mean,
honestly.
I have worked with a gentleman that was in the adult industry that needed to make sure he performed for his job.
That's a good problem to have.
Yeah. But the downside is that there are things that you take to improve how long you can go. That is a direct injection into that area. So.
Interesting.
Wait, like what? Like what?
There's actually several medications that are actually like you can get from a doctor that are meant for it. It's vasodilators that just happen to be, more direct injection.
Yeah.
Damn, that's wild.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Like you inject it at the base.
Jesus.
And you have to be, I guess a little bit daring and have a pretty high pain threshold for that. But I guess if it's your job,
Jeez, man. I don't think it's ever worth injecting in my penis. Nothing. It's so bad.
It's pretty common in that industry.
I'm sure.
It gets the job done.
That's funny.
I was honestly like kind of surprised just how much much gear was prevalent in the industry too, but I guess I should have assumed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
We all kind of
you
fucking
gotta
do it.
look a certain way too, right?
Yeah.
You take HCG to keep your load up and some testosterone.
Yeah.
HMG, you're chilling.
To keep the load up. Some crazy loads, bro.
Well, you don't want to be fat on camera either.
Low Retta in there.
Yeah, exactly. You want to be lean, so I'm sure half of them are on Reddit these days.
That's funny.
Yeah. What else can you think of that would be in y'all's like bottom tier? If anything.
Personally, I would say, and again, this is just potential for risk, but melanotan could potentially be something,
Especially Melanotan too.
I was going to say that. Yeah. So, and it kind of goes to the same thing as the BBC to some extent, where if it's going to increase the melanocytes and you have risk for skin cancer, then it's potentially going to increase your risk for skin cancer.
I feel like Tanner posted some. I feel like Tanner posted some things disproving that.
Yeah.
The research on the potential cancer growth of that, but
Yeah.
I didn't look into it though.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it very well could be that case. I think a lot of people just work on the common sense of it and not necessarily getting into the nitty gritty, because you could make the same argument for something like BPC too. But I would just say just the potential, until the research is really out there, there can be potential for it.
I mean, that's also kind of the cool thing about the industry too, right? Is that there's always more research coming out.
Yeah.
And we're always learning things. Nothing is set in stone. That's what always drives me nuts when someone says something online as an absolute.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's like, how can you have an absolute in any field, even the medical field as a whole, when there's constantly new research coming out?
It's always evolving, and also too, it's like, you set up the precedence of like, what I have is the best. Everything is perfect. And the fact is, it's like, as we evolve in these peptides, there's more literature coming out, which there is all the time. And it's like, okay, these risks, we didn't really consider this, but this is this could be a potential problem. Like, let's discuss this and advance this thing, and it just gets more refined with each step. Every single generation of GLPs, the melanotans, like, it's just, you're trying to just make it more efficacious each time.
Exactly.
Not to mention like the genetic variants and outliers outside the standard deviation of reactions, like that people like even in gear use, honestly, people will have just these abnormal
responses,
dude. Which, I mean, I think a lot of people didn't really believe it at first, but if you talk to any coach that's been in the field for a long time, he could tell you like specific people that are like, for some reason, this person gets this tested. He tried it from so many different sources and always has this kind of reaction. So you just avoid it.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I mean,
well, I think two of the more common ones in the research space, 5-amino M1Q, when I think about, individual reactions, and L-carnitine.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty certain it's based on people's individual pHs in their body as to, you'll have some people that will say the L-carnitine stung like all get out, and they couldn't walk. It was like getting hit with a baseball bat. And then you have other folks that are nothing. Like I don't get a lump, nothing.
Yeah.
And then usually it's almost like the inverse between the L-carnitine and the 5-amino-1-MQ. If they say the L-carnitine hurts, the 5-amino-1-MQ is fine.
Yeah.
And if the 5-amino-1-MQ is fine, the L-carnitine stings them.
Yeah.
And, having a fairly large research base of people saying different reactions and things like that, it really seems like it's got to be related to the individual pHs.
That makes sense. Yeah. Well, that makes perfect sense, because a lot of times for the compounding like glutathione, the pH is a huge dictator of whether that's going to sting or not for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I mean, it makes sense because you're injecting into an area that has a pH level,
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
And with the glutathione, making sure that you use the correct reconstitution. Water, having some taurine in there helps it from crystallizing.
Yeah.
what are the benefits of Melanotan 2, Melanotan 1, and then like what's that third one that doesn't actually tan you, but like has some of the benefits of Melanotan 2? Do you know what I'm talking about?
It's a melanocyte. It has the anti-inflammatory benefits of like melanotan without the actual tanning part. I remember hearing about what peptide was. I just remember specifically what it was called.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to fucking remember.
Well, going into the benefits of them, so Melanotan 2 is going to give you the stronger, deeper tan because that will take your natural levels and then go above that. So that's also why the risk profile is higher versus 1, which will not tan you as much, but it's just maximizing
the balance of your genetics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. So you have the tanning effect, 2 different tanning effects between them. Also with the Melanotan 2, you also get some of the libido boost, both men and women, on that side of things.
My favorite part.
Worth it.
And then for men, especially then, aside from the libido boost, there's also, it can help in erectile dysfunction as well. So there's...
Yeah, I think there is some anti-inflammatory stuff with the melanotans. I don't think it's as efficient as some other sources, like the one that doesn't tan. It's more specifically made for.
I think I'm thinking about PT141 maybe.
So yeah, PT141 will give you the libido boost that Melanotan 2 certainly can as well.
Yeah,
and there's some companies out there that might combine them because you get the libido boost times 2 from both of those. Men get the erectile dysfunction benefit out of it too. And then you also have tanning.
It's called the porn star stack.
Porn star stack.
Or maybe Lustra. Heard that name used before.
Yeah.
Isn't there like, there's like mood benefits too, mood and like social benefits too to MT2, isn't there?
Well, if you have better libido, you're going to be in a better mood generally.
Sure.
Anyway, so there is certainly some elevation that you're going to get.
I feel like that's debatable. Depends on what kind of relationship you're in at the moment.
Horny and frustrated, that's not a good combination, I guess.
There's a cap to horniness. Past that point, it's just painful.
Fair enough. You don't want to take that level too high.
Grinding your teeth, you're just like, oh.
Fuck. Okay. Where would you place NAD plus and NMN?
NAD plus, probably not top tier for me.
Really?
I think one below it, because mostly the side effects from taking it, as far as nausea is concerned, if your NAD plus stores are already topped up, and you take a large dose of it too, it can cause you to hyperventilate.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people kind of panic too if that happens. And, even the IV therapy versions of it, there's a reason why it goes so slow when you take it, because it can cause the nausea and everything else like that too. So I think because of that, and if, it's popular, people hear about it, how great it is and everything like that, they jump into it not knowing dosing frequency and amounts.
Yeah.
And they can get themselves into a situation where all of a sudden they're hyperventilating and they're going to be panicking.
Yeah.
So that's, to me, that's why I wouldn't put it at top tier.
I think NAD too, like people need to realize that there's a store limit to NAD that your cell's gonna have. And when you top off that store and you get a spill out of NAD, you actually get negative potential for that. There's an inflammatory response. You get the hyperventilation, the sweat, all that stuff, which it's not necessarily a good thing. So it's more of like a dose mix the poison type of thing to a certain extent for most people. And I don't think people really consider that, because NAD on paper is an amazing thing, but it's just, you got to make sure you're not overflowing the stores that you already have, because then there's, potential for negative.
I think there's also an area of research that needs to be done a little bit more on NAD plus versus NADH balances and impacts on muscle gaining potential and things like that too. Because as you throw that balance out of whack, and if it's too far towards NAD plus, you can start impacting AMPK and things like that. And as you're impacting AMPK, that impacts other items like mTOR. So there hasn't been too terribly much research yet in that space, but there is some potential, I think, on that side.
What about the benefits of NAD plus? I don't know, man.
Just increased vitality, or I guess, in some sense, it's kind of like the anti-aging peptide in the sense of energy. And I think a lot of people that make the association of like, oh, I want to feel the way I did in my 20s. And, there's a lot of complexity to that, but really there's something to be said with NAD stores where after you get, hit 25, you're kind of at a gradual decline of NAD stores. So, kind of that vitality of just being young is probably one of the biggest pros for it in my experience. And again, going to the dosing thing, it's like, you got to understand that as you get older, there's more of a necessity for that NAD, and you can see a huge benefit. But, someone who's 23, 22, it's a hard call if they're really going to notice something from it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll say for me personally, I first used it when I was 39 or 40. Went to the IV clinic, I had heard all the hype about it. I think it was probably 39 at that point. And, got the infusion, I had it added to my IV infusion. Man, it felt like someone hooked up a car battery to my cells and just amped everything up. Like all of a sudden I was like, it was like a jump start kind of thing. Yes. I felt a flush of energy, and, I didn't need my 3 Ghost drinks per day anymore for a period of time there. I cut my caffeine down, things like that. It felt great as far as, obviously by 39, 40, my natural levels were pretty well depleted. I wasn't doing anything at that point in time to restore them. Yeah. So it definitely had a great, first impact on me for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I would even argue that psychologically there's a huge play for NAD, where a lot of people, they kind of get in these I guess you could say like midlife slumps. They hit their 40s, 50s, their energy just gets tanked. They don't have the energy resources to do what they have to do to get healthier, be happier. And for something like NAD, it could provide that extra boost just to be able to make that step. You get things done, you actually have that energy, because there's a reality. I mean, there's, in some sense, like, we have batteries, and if that battery is depleted, there's not really much you can do with that. And if you can jumpstart that battery, it just gives you the resources to take control. Whether that's mentally, financially, spiritually, whatever it is, it gives people that resource.
Yeah, people always used to talk about how they would slow down, and it was natural that you slow down at 40. Yeah, and it was a rapid decline after that. In this day and age, that doesn't need to be the case anymore. Yeah, we have all of these tools at our disposal. Doesn't matter if you're going to, telemedicine for it, going to IV clinics for it, doing your research, going to research sites for it. We have so many tools at our disposal that you don't have to feel old and sluggish
Totally.
You know, at 40 or 50 anymore.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. And I mean, it's a big thing too is just it's and the reason like these podcasts are so important is just it's getting the word out for like the potential of all this stuff, you know, but doing it correctly. You know, just the way that we can have discussions and all this, you know, we're all on the same team. We're all doing this together. Like it should be like that, because that's what's actually going to push this thing forward. You know, and it's what we need, especially with how things are going on. You know, there's definitely a pushback with a lot of institutions that are trying to, you know, quell this thing a little bit. And the more resources we can get to kind of keep pushing this thing forward, the better.
Just think anything that's preventative medicine should be pushed further. But I just know that, you know.
Yep.
We know the back things.
Powers that be. Yeah.
The powers that be.
There's not as much money to make in preventative medicine.
Yeah.
Okay.
What other peptides you got on?
Dude, there's so many.
All right.
There's so many for us to
I mean,
talk
we can do a
about,
rapid
honestly.
fire
Shoot
if
'em
you
to
want.
'em.
Yeah. I mean, I want to do rapid fire, but at the same time, I want to be as in-depth as possible in places that we can. For example, you guys were discussing dosing and frequency of NAD plus and how important that is, also in respective to what your stores may be, which is, I think, I don't really even know how to measure that, if that's measurable.
I don't think yet there's a really measurement.
Just like base it off of your age and approximate or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's more so how much have you already taken of it? What's your age?
Yeah.
What's your goal?
Yeah, then maybe a titration depending on the side effects you get.
Yeah.
So, you know, it would be a gradual increase in the dose until you realize, okay, I'm getting that spillover. That's a cap.
Exactly. Then you pull back for a period of time. Then you stop it for a little bit, and then you start at a maintenance dose.
Yes.
What have you seen on average, like amongst the anecdotes that you know, would be like a good starting point for somebody? I'm trying to think of like a good... Maybe we should have like some kind of age average or something.
Well, let's just say middle-aged man, worked out in the past. He hasn't worked out in about a decade. You know, just wants to take something to increase his energy. How much NAD would you put him on?
Well, theoretically, you could actually answer that question better than I can, at least from between our two companies. Yeah. From a research standpoint, you know, I think it depends on, you know, the route that they want to go to. If you're talking about an IV therapy, that's going to be more of a bolus dose.
Yeah.
Because you can also then combine it with like a Toradol or something like that to reduce down your nausea.
Yeah.
Versus if you're doing a research study, you're going to want to start a little bit lower, let's say like 50 milligrams, and then build up from there to 100 milligrams maybe a day, every other day type thing, until you start feeling those diminished returns.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would imagine that your doses would also be a lot higher, considering that you got some pretty high tolerances for shit, and you're a fucking big dude.
Well, I was even basing that too on some research subjects that were half my size.
Nice. The big rats.
I will say, you know, my wife had taken a nice big dose at one point in time, you know, and she got the hyperventilating. And so
did Chloe.
Yeah. I can tell you the appropriate response was not to laugh and say that it would pass in like 10 seconds. No. Laughing is not a good idea in that situation.
You're doing everything you can to calm them down.
Yeah, she literally hit the floor.
I did the same thing. I started chuckling a little bit. She's like, "It's not funny." I'm like,
it is for me a little bit, because you're going to be perfectly fine.
Yeah,
it's just going to last for like 10 to 30 seconds, and then you're good to go.
What about GHK-Cu? Good old copper peptide.
Yeah, I mean, that's near the top for me too. Whether that's a topical solution or injectable version on that side.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of benefits, whether that's inflammation reduction, skin clearing benefits as well, especially if you're talking about, you know, on the skincare research side of things. Mm-hmm. Something to look out though for, there's obviously different kinds of copper, right? You have GHK-Cu, you have regular copper, then there's PAL. GHK-Cu, that's the one you want to look for topical solutions, because that's the one that can actually be absorbed better.
Transdermal.
Yeah, through your skin or your scalp. So for like hair restoration, it's great for that too.
Yeah, you got any plugs?
as far as well, you went a different route, right? I'm still holding on to my hair thanks to the copper. APR has a topical hair solution that we utilize, the PAL GHK-Cu.
You got some hairy rats.
I was gonna say those rats must be hairy.
Yeah, the fact that I have any hair is a miracle. Given both sides of my family, everyone was bald by the time they were 30.
Really?
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow,
That's
man.
fucking unfortunate.
Yeah.
Well, you're doing it right.
Right. Yeah. I mean, both my grandfathers were totally bald by 30, and so I still have hair at 12 years older than that. So
What's up?
yeah, I'll take it. And they weren't cycling either back then, so I've been doing plenty of things that should have made me completely bald by this point in time.
Do you guys find any other issues with GHK-Cu or even any
rejection site interact, like
fucking itchiness and swelling, like red sites
redness,
and shit.
swelling,
On-site irritation,
a little bit of itchiness. There's some people that are more susceptible to it than others. Generally, the antidote for that, if you will, is to just dilute it more. They can't handle higher concentrations, and so you just add twice the amount of water to it as you normally would. And they're usually fine, but that's pretty much the only thing I found.
Yeah. Backwater.
Yeah.
What about interactions? Any in there? GHK-Cu? I don't think I know any interactions with BBC or TB either.
So I really don't think so. I mean,
theoretically, if you're injecting a ton of it, and it'd have to be the injection route, you could throw your minerals out of balance.
Sure. Yeah.
So, I mean, there's some people that we hear about taking really high doses of it, right? And then their other minerals are going to be out of whack as a result, because you're going to impact some absorption capabilities.
Yeah.
Whether that's magnesium, you're going to have to be on top of your magnesium game, selenium, things like that.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Honestly, before going to mitochondrial peptides, I'd love to talk about the Secretagogues. Those are kind of nice and juicy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll give my opinion on that one. So things like Ipamorelin, CJC, I put them down at the bottom because you're not getting much benefit from them, right? Like they came out as a result of HGH being banned for longevity use and things like that, because we used to have, the HGH clinics everywhere.
Is that what we were talking about, the thing in 93?
Right, exactly. So in 93, they really shut down all the HGH clinics, right? Like everyone was originally getting HGH at these longevity clinics.
Yeah.
You could just walk in and get a prescription for it. Government, unfortunately, thanks to baseball of all things, came down hard on all the clinics, and then we needed different ways to be able to still get some longevity benefits. I think there's probably some benefit to it from a longevity standpoint, especially in the younger population, because you're still going to be able to get some HGH out of it. The studies generally point to 2.6 at a maximum equivalent IU of HGH from using those. And so that's a pretty small dose, right? It's okay for a longevity standpoint, but the problem is once you get past 35, the amount that you're getting out of these things just tanks. And so someone like me, I'm not even going to get 1 IU worth out of taking those. So it's a waste of money, in my opinion, on that side of things, especially when we have things available like HGH that you can still get through various routes. There are some good ones like Tesamorelin that has shown in studies to reduce visceral fat, which is obviously very important.
Yeah.
And there's other benefits to taking that made with HGH too, because your body releases different types of HGH. It's not just all one.
Yeah.
And so if you're taking a synthetic one and then you're also releasing your natural one, you're getting a more complete picture. I think that was actually Kurt Havens that had actually gone into that not too long ago on his podcast about utilizing both at the same time. Might have been Dr. Dean. I apologize if I got that one wrong. But obviously there's a lot of benefits to Tesamorelin on that side. Then there's the strongest one, Hexarelin, which will get more secretion, but you better watch your prolactin on that. It's been shown to increase prolactin levels pretty high. So that'd be kind of a bummer if you're only getting 3 IU worth of HGH and you're having all the bad side effects of Tren. So
sounds like a fun time.
Yeah.
Love the Hex Tren weed combo.
Oh,
the holy trinity.
Yeah, exactly. That's prolactin guaranteed gyno at that point.
With peptides growing substantially in the last couple of months now, and honestly, we could list out a long list of all the peptides that have helped us. You guys have heard these peptides and these research chems in the podcast maybe a million times. Peptides I've used from APR such as BPC 157 and TP 500 for soft tissue healing, retatrutide and other GLPs, mitochondrial support such as SS31, MOTC, 5-amino-1Q, methylene blue, SLU. There's a bunch of others. Obviously, the list goes on and on. One of my favorite things, though, that I've been utilizing, such as during my last prep, that has allowed my blood work to come basically pristine, aside from slightly elevated liver enzymes at about 60 and 130 1 week after the show. And this is after a leg day because my dumbass doesn't want to skip a training day. These are probably the things that I think are the most important. So this includes like your injectable glutathione, injectable or even just normal NAC, liposoluble glutathione, GI aids such as oral BPC, oral TB, KPV. A lot of these things have probably been very substantial in reducing oxidative stress and keeping all my blood markers down, and thus keeping me as basically healthy as fucking possible that you can be while you're bodybuilding. So I couldn't be more thankful to Mike for literally showing me the ropes and also providing me with all of these things. Even the compounded supplements that he creates for blood pressure and reducing oxidative stress on all your organs, including your cardiovascular system, your liver and your kidneys. All of these that he creates have been very substantial, honestly. So you can find any of these at his site, aprhealthsolutions.com, and he has offered me a code Nile for you guys to use, which will offer you a 15% discount off of all of that as well, since he knows that the codes are a little bit just for the homies, you know. If you guys end up using those and you like him, please let me know. Shoot in a comment, just give me a DM or something, and if you ever have any problems or any questions, I'll be here too. This is a community for me, even though I don't have a fucking Discord because I'm lazy as shit, but I fucking should make one. So love you guys, and keep training hard. Okay, gotcha. Would you say there's any disadvantages to using Tesamorelin?
Other than the fact that you probably want to cycle it, not really, in my opinion. I mean, they've done some long-term studies of people using it, and it had a generally safe profile in that regard. There wasn't a ton of side effects listed outside of maybe, you know, some of the traditional ones from HGH. You know, everyone needs to also find, you know, what timing is best for them. I know, you know, some competitors will take it pre-fasted cardio to help with the fat burning aspects. Some take it before bed. You and I have discussed before too, you know, HGH timing as it relates to sleep quality, because in some people it'll throw it off. And so, you know, in some people they get benefits from it and they get more deep sleep out of it. And other people, they get worse sleep.
Yeah, that was a fucking weird thing recently.
Yeah.
I know I have like Roman too, is one of the homies that just doesn't, for some reason when he uses GH, he gets sleep issues. And I've talked to guests before that one of the guests, I think his theory is that if you're using GH to the point where you're actually getting less than your natural production out of it, that's where it affects your sleep. But then again, there's also people that like when they take more GH, like say above like 4 IUs or something, they end up finding sleep issues.
I have seen several people that had, you know, in the 4 to 8 range have sleep disturbances from it. And then they switched to morning doses and their sleep went back to normal.
Which I feel like would make that theory not totally accurate. Maybe for some people, but yeah. I don't know. So
everyone's individual, you know. You also have to find what works for where you are in life too. You know, back when I was working my corporate job, there's no way I was going to be taking a bolus of HGH in the morning because by noon I would fall asleep at my desk. Like, that's not productive. That's going to hurt your quality of life at the end of the day if you're getting fired because you're sleeping on the job or something like that. So you have to take into account also, what your lifestyle is too, as you're researching different things for yourself.
Yeah. If anyone has any anecdotes for these experiences, or even like has any knowledge of maybe any places that are lacking in research, I mean, I'd be interested to see that in the comments too, because I definitely know nothing, and I'm sure all of us like have places that we can improve on in our knowledge base.
Yeah, of course. Well, like we were discussing earlier, right? This is always a constantly changing environment. New research studies are coming out. There's a lot more research available to us than ever before. I mean, it's great to be able to go into AI and just say, pull me all research related to this topic. And all of a sudden you get all of the studies that are relevant to that topic that you can then read. Yeah. I know that's how I pull my research, for being able to actually read the studies. It helps me narrow down, okay, I have, 1 million studies available on, different publications. I need to narrow it down to 20, so that way I'm deep diving in on just the 20 most relevant ones. So it's great that all of that's available to us, and anyone that ever says, their mind is set in stone on a particular topic, I'd be wary of, right? Like we should all be able to have rational debates and come to different conclusions on these things as science advances.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, I think too, it's like in this space, you cannot have an ego with it. Like coming into the mantra that you're talking about, it's like you just want to help people, right? Like that's all you care about. You just want to help people. I just want to help people. And then with that, it's like we're just learning. We continue to learn, and then the idea of just shedding off the misinformation, because people will take stuff to the grave. Like they missaid something or something they understood before, and people are calling them out. They're like, no, that's true. That's how it should be. It's like, no, man, you gotta just look into it. Like if it's not. If you're wrong, you're wrong. Just take that next step. Figure out what's right. Yeah.
I think it's funny when people always I understand people thinking or having a sort of, I don't know, I can't think of any of the words today, but cynical view where they're just like, someone's just trying to sell something, or like nobody's trying to help other people. Yeah. Like that's just, like people are always out there for themselves. Like, have you ever just like talked to one of your friends about something that you try that you're like, this is fucking fire, bro. Like you should jump on 300 mgs of Tren, because this shit's fucking, like, I feel like anytime that you have those discussions, like anybody else that's been in that experience that has a similar mindset to you is probably going to want to like discuss their own experiences as well with other people, whether it's benefited them or whether it's hurt them. Like it's just, we're excited about something that's maybe impacted our lives, hopefully in a positive way. So I don't see why not,
Yeah. And then it evolves the discourse, I mean, if we read up in the comments, it's like, oh, there's actual studies that are talking about something that we had no idea about. That evolves the discussion. Now that's integrated with everything else.
Yeah, we seem to have forgotten the ability to have discussions on things, and that debate is actually healthy. Yeah. And that way we all come to better conclusions at the end of the day.
Totally. Yeah.
Is there anything else that's beneficial about Tesamorelin above, say,
the fat targeting potentially, or the selectiveness of it?
Well, then also, I mean, just the benefits of HGH in general at that point, whether that's because since you are releasing some of your own natural HGH, so you're, even at that lower level that it's excreting, you're still going to get benefits for hair, skin, nails, things like that, better sleep quality.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Do you take on the issue or the idea that the morelins are more selective for specifically HGH and not the precursors like cortisol spikes, or kind of sticking to the tract of purely HGH, or do you think it's more of just it's whatever HGH increases, Tesamorelin, ipamorelin can increase as well?
Well, I think there's definitely a component to it being more specific, right? There's a reason why that one in particular versus any of the other ones is FDA approved, right, for reducing visceral fat. Yeah. Clearly it had more selective capabilities than other options available in that space. So they're definitely more targeted in specific areas and for their approaches. I'd say.
Cool. What about MK677?
It's good if you want to eat.
Yeah, exactly. It works to a certain degree. Certainly a number of side effects associated with that, whether that's the massive increase in appetite, since that's how it's acting on. Yeah. So your appetite is going to be increasing. People generally notice more water retention, I found, in that area. Then you have the insulin sensitivity issues that it can create.
That's something I wanted to ask is, do you happen to have any knowledge on the difference in the effects on blood glucose of MK677, Tesamorelin, and GH? If you're to discuss all three of those comparatively.
Yeah, I wish a study would actually put them all head to head on that, but as far as I'm aware, there's no studies that have actually put them head to head against each other. But there are certainly studies that have shown that MK677 had a bigger impact on the insulin sensitivity. I know that's why they had invented MK777. Which had less of impact on hunger and less impact on insulin sensitivity. And as far as I'm aware, too, correct me if I'm wrong, but the MK677 showed the fastest increase in reduction of insulin sensitivity out of all those.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, it's also a pretty potent HGH increaser. I mean, it's in terms of the longevity of the drug being in your body, the secretion pulses and how much you secrete. It's long lasting. It's potent. Yeah. So the 777 is pretty interesting because if you can actually hone that in, it's a really strong secretagogue. Yeah. I know personally I have tried it and my hunger still increased. Yeah. Not nearly as much as on 677, but it's definitely still increased on that one. I'd say Tesamorelin had the least impact on insulin sensitivity out of the three that you had mentioned there, the MK677, HGH, and Tesamorelin. And then HGH was...
Where did it have the least impact?
On insulin sensitivity.
Like was it in a study or just something you experienced? Or
So all of them have various studies related to it. And they did a long-term study on the Tesamorelin, and there wasn't reports of anyone going diabetic or anything like that, even on longer term use of it. So it's a little bit of a power by deduction on that one.
Okay, gotcha. Took it with a grain of salt, but yeah, I feel like that would make sense. Are there any other GH secretagogues that we didn't discuss?
We didn't really touch on CJC.
You mentioned
DAC.
CJC that you would put on the bottom.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah. I lump that in with Ipamorelin.
Do you think there's a difference between the DAC, no DAC in terms of potential side effects?
Honestly, I can't say that I've gone too much into it because once I saw how little that it actually improved HGH, it was like, I'm not going to rip people off just because they want this thing. Because they hear someone talking about it or anything like that. It's of no use for me. So, that's probably a difference to some other peptide owners. In that I've done my own personal research studies on everything that's on my website. And I won't put anything on there that doesn't show a meaningful benefit in a particular research area. And so I'm not just going to offer a full catalog just to increase sales or anything like that. So I kind of stopped my own research pretty early on in that area.
Yeah, that's fair.
Gotcha. Yeah. I'm going to run to the restroom real quick and then let's keep this shit going.
All right.
You guys need to use the restroom too.
I'm going to hop in a sec. Cool. And the gorgeous thing that is TSA security.
Well, because that moron tried to blow up his shoe.
Cool. Awesome. You down to talk about the some of the shit you went through? You went through like surgeries and a bunch of other shit that was like wild, right? Yeah. Sure. Because I think you were mentioning that you were using peptides at the time, right?
No, I wasn't using the peptides at the time, which was mostly.
Or it kind of like helped initiate your interest.
Yeah. So you want me to just jump into it now?
Yeah.
So some of the things I had gone through prior to kind of figuring out what worked best for me. And I'll also say too, it wasn't just BPC 157. That certainly helped too. I also found that keeping my testosterone at the high end of normal also helped. The only thing that I can think of is that helps, repair.
Sure.
It keeps inflammation down. Like there's benefits. Exactly. The anabolic properties were actually helping offset some of the damage that the Crohn's was doing.
Yeah.
And I tried 4 different times of going off and coming back on. And every time I went off, I got a flare up. And every time I went back on, it stopped the flare up.
Fire.
And so
Test.
yeah, exactly. So optimizing your hormones too certainly helped out quite a bit on that. And I have all the blood tests showing inflammation going up and down during that time and everything too. And my Crohn's medicines had actually nuked my natural testosterone. I was down like at 100 or so.
Wow.
And so, yeah, that was the doctors actually prescribed me the testosterone to bring it up. And that's when I first noticed. I was like, oh, wait a second. It's starting to go away. Yeah. And I was like, I think there might be a pattern here. But, you know, you always have to be your own advocate in the medical system because no one else is going to do it for you.
Yeah.
But, you know, going through some of that, we tried some crazy things. Like I was telling everyone earlier, I was on a fast food only diet, if you can believe that. A GI doctor prescribed me that I should only eat McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell, things like that.
Who was this guy?
Was he making commissions with the morgue or
The theory behind it was that it was low in fiber and the grease and everything helped move it through your digestive system fast enough that it wouldn't create inflammation.
Yeah.
The grease?
The seed
Or
oils.
The fat?
just
The
yeah,
seed
like,
oils?
that create inflammation.
But
that's crazy.
Needless to
Man.
say, I mean, like fast food generally does run through your system pretty quickly, right? Like how many times are you eating Taco Bell and then 30 minutes
Sure,
later
brings
you
up.
run to the bathroom?
Sure.
So
Yeah.
the idea was that it wouldn't create inflammation, but after a month of that, I gave that up because it was disgusting.
Yeah.
I was like, I would rather be in pain than eat this food.
Did it help?
I could do it.
It did not help.
Didn't help. Yeah.
No.
The only diet that actually ever helped was the FODMAP diet. So the low inflammation diet.
Okay.
That has certain good and bad, everything from protein to carbs to fruits and vegetables and everything like that.
Yep.
That diet helped a little bit. But, you know, so my stomach is pretty well cut up from different surgeries that I've had. Not great for the bodybuilding career because my abs are, 1, very thin as a result of the surgeries, and 2, they're not perfectly aligned either.
Yeah.
And my belly button has been shoved with a camera so many times that there's like about that much scar tissue built up on there. So I've had my gallbladder removed. I had really bad ulcers, and so I had to actually have a portion of my stomach cut and sewn back. Yeah, because it was just leaking stomach acid.
Wow.
Let me tell you, leaking stomach acid, extremely painful. That one dropped me on the spot, and I woke up in the ER.
Shit.
Wow. I've
Wow.
had portions of my intestines removed due to being damaged. They had to cut them out as well. So it's been a number of surgeries over, it was probably over a period of 10 years or
Crazy.
so.
Starting from when you were like 25?
When I was 25, yep. That's the average age that Crohn starts flaring up for men. And I was like dead on that.
I'm so lucky, dude. Fuck.
I noticed something was wrong when I had bottles of Pepto-Bismol at my office desk, in my car, about 20 bottles at home in my gym bag.
Did it, so did it start as heartburn?
It felt like a burning sensation
In your stomach?
in my stomach.
Yeah.
And the funny thing was, they still don't know why, but there's some like referred pain that I get that was over here. And they're like, well, there's no organs there. They're like, we don't know what the heck you're talking about. And which also then made them think I was making this up some of the time.
Yeah.
But I was like, no, it hurts right here. Like I can draw a circle around where I feel it.
Yeah, it was sharp.
Yeah, it was extremely sharp pain. It would come on and it'd just feel like someone stabbed me right there. And I would just be incapacitated for like the next week.
Wow.
Yeah. One other funny time was I had a flare up, and this was back in South Carolina. And I actually called 911 telling them I was driving to the ER and please don't pull me over because I'm booking it at like 100 on the highway.
Yep.
Because I lived a decent bit away from the nearest hospital. And they actually sent a state trooper to give me an escort.
That is awesome.
So all of a sudden a state trooper pulled in front of me and drove me right to the hospital.
Wow.
Where then I spent, I think, another week. I think that one was in that hospital.
Can you rotate your just rotate it 2 inches towards you? No, rotate this branch. Yeah, sick.
Right.
So what are your favorite peptides then? Since I guess you had a pretty freaking long journey since this.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, oral BPC 157 has to be up there in that regard. Oral KPV as well. So I like that one. Then, in general, for, I like the injectable version of BPC 157 too, because that goes systemic. So you get the healing benefits if you get any injuries or anything like that. Certainly I racked up injuries in strongman and powerlifting and things like that. Knock on wood. I haven't had any injuries since bodybuilding. It's a little bit easier on the body. So those, I guess you can kind of count them as 4, both the injectable and the oral version of the same 2. Tesamorelin, certainly up there. Great for staying leaner too. And then, we haven't touched much on the mitochondrial peptides, but when, especially for cardio, AICAR, I don't think there's much better than that. I know certainly a lot of endurance researchers who look into that. I mean, you use that and, your research subjects can go forever with running and things like that.
Hamster wheel.
Yeah, exactly. Literally, that hamster wheel will keep running, and they won't get tired on there.
Yeah.
So, MOTC on that side, and then I've always been big into the nootropic space.
Oh yeah. Do you find any issues though with the last 2, with AICAR or MOTC that you've been utilizing for yourself?
Not necessarily issues on that side. Obviously MOTC can cause itchiness at the injection site in nearly everyone. A lot of people switch to IM to offset that. Don't get nearly as much on that side. But, there's a theory that I've been working on, credit to my friend Trevor, who first brought this to my attention, in that these mitochondrial peptides are increasing AMPK. And when you increase AMPK, you decrease mTOR. When you decrease mTOR, you're limiting how much muscle you can put on. So I know there's a lot of people, bodybuilders in the off season, who have started utilizing MOTC in the off season to stay leaner. And there's also some benefits for better lipid profile as well with it. Great when you're shoving calories real high on that side of things. But at the same time, you may be actually limiting how much muscle you're putting on in the off season. And so we had been doing, 2 things. One, for the off season, only utilizing those items during your off days or cardio only days. So we moved cardio to only be on off days from the gym. So that way you want AMPK higher when you're doing the cardio, because you're going to be burning more fat and it's going to be easier for you to do the cardio. So utilizing MOTC or AICAR just on those cardio days. And then in contest prep, where you're pushing your mitochondrial hard anyway, with those 5-amino-1-MQ, which is also great though for preserving muscle mass while you're dieting down. You're utilizing a number of things to increase your mitochondrial output during contest prep. We had mitochondrial recovery days where we'd actually take that out and up antioxidants, and also up the use of things like SS31 or humanin that repair your mitochondria. So that way they're functioning better. So you have 2 recovery days where you're not utilizing something that's pushing them hard, and instead is repairing them. And then the other 5 days of the week, you're pushing hard in contest prep.
Gotcha. What was the thing that you said about SLU PP 332 that is kind of a sign of oxidative stress that people actually aren't super aware of?
Yeah. So on the SLU PP 332, some people think that it's working better when they're sweating more. They're like, oh, I'm sweating. It's great. Oh, I'm starting to feel a little fatigued. I must be burning calories like crazy. If you're experiencing those side effects, it means you're not utilizing it correctly. Your body is ejecting it.
It's trying to eject it. Yeah.
Exactly. You're just dumping it in the most efficient manner, which is generally through heat.
Yeah.
Just trying to get rid of it.
Yeah.
So your oxidative stress, generally at that point, you went into prep or you went into utilizing that with too high of mitochondrial stress, oxidative stress as well. And you really need to, one, stop using it and utilize other things to repair yourself. Same thing as the analogy that now a lot of people are stealing, but I'm pretty sure I was one of the first ones with this analogy that, you utilize SS31 to repair the car engine, and then you add MOTC to supercharge the engine. If you put a supercharger on a busted engine and you floor it, what are you going to do? You're going to blow your engine. And that's what some people experience, and they feel that fatigue. I see that even more on the SLU PP, especially as people are starting to ramp up the doses to what the actual research study doses were, which, for the human equivalent, you were looking at roughly 400 milligrams on that side of things. Credit to Brian, the guerrilla chemist, on that for, first calling that out and utilizing, the research on that area. But that is the effective research dose on that side. But a lot of people will get burnt out pretty quickly on that unless you're really on your antioxidant game and, making sure that you went in a healthy state on that side of things.
Right. Which is something that I want to talk about here in a bit too. But in regards to the mitochondrial peptides, now, what are I think it would be helpful for us to list those out, and then what are the benefits and when would you utilize those? Because I know there's a lot of places when you shouldn't.
Yeah, there's certainly the peptides and then other compounds too that still, research is still out on like if methylene blue increases mitochondrial output. Certainly anecdotally, there's been a lot of people who say it has. There has been a little bit of research on it that has shown it has too. So I usually lump that one in there. Nothing else, it's a good antioxidant. But the other mitochondrial peptides, so SS3.
There's some issues with methylene blue as well though, right? Correct.
So people need to be very careful with methylene blue. So it will increase your serotonin. And so if you're on any antidepressants, especially, or you're utilizing another compound like tesofensine, you can increase your serotonin too high, and you run the risk of a very serious condition with serotonin syndrome, which could be fatal at the end of the day. But most likely what would happen is that you're going to have a giant panic attack that lasts for 24 hours, which is not fun. I unfortunately had to experience that in my own research when methylene blue was really first coming popular, and we weren't sure, interactions and things like that it acts as a MAOI inhibitor, essentially, and increases your serotonin. And I may have accidentally combined it with tesofensine and and found out the hard way that serotonin syndrome is not a fun place to be.
It does not mean you're super happy.
No, definitely not. You are in a state of panic, sweating, not feeling great for about 24 hours because it takes a while to get out of your system, because both of those are long-acting chemicals. And so it takes a while to get out of your system.
Yeah, I think you made a good point too about the difference of these mitochondrial peptides and methylene blue, how there's mitochondrial repairers, there's mitochondrial modulators, and there's mitochondrial increasers, output increasers. And people just kind of lump it all together, and I think that distinction is really good because there's different use cases for that, right? Like for MOTC, it's more of a performance thing. For something like methylene blue, that's a modulator, it's more of a, okay, you have a mitochondrial dysfunction, let's try this out and see if it fixes that, right? And it specifies specifically what you're going to use for what issues you have, instead of it just being like, oh yeah, it increases your mitochondrial output, or it's a mitochondrial peptide. Well, there's a lot of different use cases depending on what that does specifically.
And people get excited that they hear about these benefits. So, MOTC, great for increasing your energy. especially in the older population, things like that. It burns fat, better lipids. So there's a lot of benefits to it, and people get real excited and they want to jump right into it. But, whether you're starting a new research study, you're starting a bodybuilding contest prep, what have you, you need to make sure that you are healthy first and that you're in a good spot before you start trying any of these things.
Yeah.
I will say when I was utilizing as many antioxidants as possible, also having like pretty regular use of injectable glutathione and liposomal glutathione throughout like the last few weeks of prep, just literally straight up like using 5-amino 1-MQ, MOTC, SLU, and SS31 in the respective places that it should be used, was honestly kind of helpful in just helping me like not feel like I wanted to kill people around me in like those last few weeks of prep, and then just having like enough energy to like at least do my daily tasks without it affecting, say, my mood or the way that I react to things. I think just because I'm so low on energy and I'm just so fucking hungry. Well,
but, not only that, so heck, layer in the nootropics at that point in time that you can keep your brain going during prep too.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't the 90s. You don't have to feel like total ass in the last month of prep anymore. There's no need for that. Like, back in the day, give credit to those guys. They had to suffer through it. They could barely, get off the couch and walk to the car to get to the gym.
Right.
But now we can utilize these things to keep our energy levels up during even a severely depleted state. Yeah. And we can also layer on things to help us keep our brain functioning too. Yeah.
So what are some of the what is the issue with long-term high dose use of methylene blue?
Well, one, there's not a ton of studies on the long-term use of it because it was always developed as essentially a dye for your
genes and shit.
Yeah, well, for that, but even medically, when you inject it intravenously to dye different organs, either before a surgery or if you're running some certain tests as well, it was always meant to be used, more as a short-term initiative. So we don't necessarily know all of the full impacts of utilizing it long-term. Then also, as I had mentioned, there's a number of drug interactions with it. So you have to be very careful whether you're utilizing it. You have to make sure that you're not antidepressant. You're not taking something like tesofensine, which is essentially an antidepressant that's used to increase your metabolism slightly and increase your mood. There's also other interactions with things that people may not think about, like kratom and kava, because both of those increase serotonin as well. So you have to be mindful of that. There's also other nootropics that increase serotonin. So you want to make sure that you're not combining methylene blue with any of those. So while there's benefits to it and there's good benefits to it, you have to be very mindful of that one in particular. Anything that modulates serotonin, especially, you need to be careful of and do your research and make sure there's no interactions with other things that you're taking.
Okay, gotcha. I think I was also curious about if there is any potential possibilities for cardiovascular issues from like long-term high dose use, or what is it, hemolysis or something. But just because it's something that I've overheard before, but I really know dog shit about this. So
I don't necessarily think cardiovascular. I mean, the only thing that I can point towards is because methylene blue, like the actual mechanism, to kind of simplify it, is it changes the pathways that your mitochondria utilize its own energy system. So it's more of like if there's a dysfunction, there's potential to fix that dysfunction. In my opinion, for methylene blue, it's, if it's not something you just take if you're not seeing a benefit. There's really no reason for it, because there's no other like downstream benefits besides fixing the mitochondria in specific. And if you're modulating the mitochondria action, there could be potential that you're actually making it less efficient in some sense.
Honestly, a lot of the research will point towards that it's better as a focus agent than a mitochondrial booster too. Yeah, it has a marginal impact on the mitochondrial aspect of things, but with that serotonin boost, it can help some people focus better, especially when you combine it with other things like alpha GPC and things like that. So in the literature, it points more towards, the cognitive benefits and the antioxidant benefits of it too.
Okay. Where would you place methylene blue in a tier list? Like a 3 to 4 tier list?
I mean, I'd probably put it as a C.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
I feel like it's something that can have huge benefits for the people that can use it.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be something like BPC where it's pretty much everyone could see a benefit from.
Yeah.
You'd say like C if there was like 4 tiers? Or 3?
If there's 4.
Okay.
4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
What about these other mitochondrial peptides?
So hold on, one thing going back to the methylene blue, there is benefit too on the cardio side of things. So it will help increase oxygen utilization. So it can open you up a little bit. But on the downside of that, it's also going to inhibit some of the nitric oxide aspects of it. So you're not going to get as good of a pump in the gym. So there is some limited aspects to it for, bodybuilding purposes, for example, because you don't want to be reducing nitric oxide in your system. But something like for an endurance athlete, there might be some benefits there for higher doses on that side of things. So I've seen cyclists, for example, take higher doses of it because they get better oxygen utilization out of it. So
I had that conversation with Dr. Scott Scher. He's pretty knowledgeable regarding methylene blue. What about the other mitochondrial peptides? Where would you place some of these?
SS31, certainly I would place top tier on that side of things. There's a reason, the bodybuilding community, I think, actually wound up doing the pharmaceutical industry a benefit there because we're utilizing it, for a period of time, talking about all these benefits that we're getting out of it. And they're like, oh yeah, we did have that in the back here somewhere. Maybe we should do some studies on it. And next thing you know, it's getting FDA approval for certain use cases out of there. And so it has shown great benefit for the mitochondrial repairing aspect on that side of things. So relatively safe too, even at high doses. I've seen in some research high doses of it, I'm talking 10, 20 milligrams on that side of things. People are recovering between heavy, whether it's, heavy cardiovascular intensive things, whether that's, high rep squats or cycling output, things like that, recovering almost instantaneously between bursts or, bouts of that cardiovascular intensive exercise that they're doing.
Yeah.
So not only are you repairing your mitochondria, but you're getting all of that performance benefit out of it too. So I think, and it's been researched at low doses, high doses, pretty safe profile on that. So I place it top tier.
Okay. How do you feel about 5-amino and MOTC?
I place both of them. MOTC to me may be the second tier. And 5-amino 1-MQ, in my personal opinion, would be top tier because you're getting.
I like 5-amino.
Yeah,
That's nice.
I mean, how often do you get also muscle preservation while you're decreasing fat?
Yeah, is that an MNN? Is
Correct.
that the muscle preservation side?
Yep.
Yeah,
You got it.
yeah.
So, to me, that one's top tier on that one.
Okay. The nootropic peptides, something that we've been using a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Shit's fire. You have a lot of those in your list. If we could just honestly just go down a list of some of your favorites and the things that you feel like have been really beneficial in your life.
Yeah. So, new Pept is always kind of the entry point.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of folks, safe profile on it, good cognitive benefits on that side of things.
Also, regarding any neuroprotective properties for any of these too, I feel like that's pretty important to discuss in the bodybuilding industry. Most of us kind of just glaze over that.
Yeah. So I know I've written a few posts and things like that on, the damage that anabolics do to the brain. Like all of them at some point, cause, oxidative stress in the brain, cause neuron inflammation,
dopamine systems.
Yeah, you're decreasing the thickness of certain points of your brain as well. And so you need some of these things as neuroprotective or repair agents. You know, one of the best repairing nootropics out there would be cerebrolizin. That actually has been shown to repair the brain in traumatic brain injuries, after seizures, things like that. So not only are you reducing the oxidative stress, you're actually repairing some of the neural connections in your brain too with that compound. Yeah. So that's, heck, even, you know, I know Vigorous Steve had reported sleep benefits when he was using it. So a lot of benefits to that one. I think that's the top one for repairing any damage done. So I'd give that one a top tier on that one. Like I said, Noopept is your entry point kind of thing. It's the most mild probably out of all of them too, especially at reasonable dosages. It has some neuroprotective properties on that side, gives you some enhanced focus, great entry way on that side of things. So safe profile too. So I'd put that up there at the top. Bromotain is one of my personal favorites, because not only are you going to get cognitive boost, but you're also going to get cardiovascular improvements too. You know, that was invented by the Russians for their special forces and their cosmonauts to not only help on the brain performance side, but also to be able to handle stressful environments, whether that's low oxygen environments or just high stress environments in general. So that one's one of my personal favorites, I would say, on that side. So I'd put that one up there as well. There's one that's, you know, been very popular lately, Dihexa. That one's probably the strongest out of all of them, which is a dual-edged sword on that side of things. There's not a ton of research on it. It's also something like 30,000 times more powerful than
BDNF.
Than what your body naturally produces. So we don't know, honestly, the full impacts that that could have on your brain using it long-term, things like that.
I know that there's some anecdotes of people taking really high dosages and almost feeling like it exacerbates their ADD. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Yeah, well, I mean, BDNF is a very complicated thing, you know, because people, they point towards, because BDNF, brain-derived neurotropic factor, it literally is meant to create new wirings in your brain, synapses, and people point towards that as a all-inclusive, that's a benefit. But the complication of it is, well, you know, there could be wrong neural networks that you're making, or inefficient neural networks to your own life, right? So, I mean, I think with those type of things where it's like, oh, 3,000 times more potent than BDNF, on paper, you're like 3,000 times more powerful, but it's more complicated than that, right? Because talking about the ADD, people have the propensity for the neural wiring for ADD. They take something like that, potentially that gets more entrenched in their own circuits. Right.
If you have bad wiring to begin with and you're creating more bad wiring.
It's not a good thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But then it could be a good thing, you know?
It's one of the few that actually creates new wiring in there. The rest generally enhance existing ones or reduce inflammation on them and things like that. This one is actually creating new ones. So super powerful. You know, there seems to be benefits to it, but it's just something to be mindful of that, hey, when you're utilizing something like this, you need to understand your risk tolerance going into it.
Got it. Okay. What about Selenk and C-Max?
Selenk, I actually would rank above C-Max, personally. I do like C-Max, you know, maybe in combination with some mitochondrial peptides, because you're getting a little bit more energy and a little bit more focus on that side of things. But with Selenk, with its ability to reduce anxiety while increasing your concentration, it's really flexible, right? Like it can be combined with a number of other, you know, maybe overstimulating nootropics and things like that to help calm it down a little bit. You know, there's some people that have ADD that need, you know, the medication for it, but it may wire them up a little bit too much. You know, something like Selenk can help them calm down a little bit. Selenk can also, you know, if you're in a super stressful job, you know, because it's not like we just deal with athletes or anything like that. There's also, you know, people with corporate jobs that are super stressed out, come home and, they have a lot of anxiety from the day. Something like a slank can reduce that anxiety and help them get ready for bed, at the end of the night too. So that's a top tier in my opinion, and C-Max is probably one below it.
I think Solang's top tier for me too, bro.
It's pretty
It's
nice.
just fucking fire, dude.
Yeah.
Is there any problems that you've seen with either of these?
Do you think there's addictive potential?
Not addictive, may habit forming.
Yeah.
May it just becomes too much of a habit, or you lose your own ability to focus without utilizing something like that. I'd also say tolerance is always something to be mindful of any of these things, because certain people can build tolerances pretty quickly to it, and then you don't want to keep upping the dose of anything that's messing with your brain, right? Like that's a bad route to go down. And so you need to pace yourself, have off days, cleanse, the brain, things like that.
Juice cleanse.
I don't know if I'd recommend that one.
Tren cleanse?
Juice cleanse.
Yeah, the Tren cleanse.
Tren cleanse.
That'll do more damage. That's I don't know which one's worse for your brain, Tren or orals. They are both right there.
They're pretty close.
Horrific for your brain. So not so much addictive, may habit forming on that side of things, but also then just the tolerance on it. And then also there's always the delivery mechanism that you're looking at too. They're not always as easy to utilize as some people will portray. Certain nootropics work better intranasally. Other ones work just fine orally. Some are injectable. And so you have to make sure you're utilizing the right delivery mechanism for whichever one that you're talking about, not just whatever you see on sale.
Okay, gotcha. What about the GLPs?
Retta, top tier on that one. I mean, something that reduces inflammation, it reduces fat. I mean, your insulin sensitivity is better. It reduces bad cravings. A lot of people that have cravings for alcohol, for example, they report that being on Retta, they all of a sudden no longer crave alcohol, things like that. So, I mean, something that hits all of those things with a relatively safe, profile, as long as you're not going up to absurd doses on it. You need, up until I think it was 12 milligrams, you didn't really see people dropping out of the research studies due to side effects. At lower doses, I mean, mostly the biohacking community, they're starting at 1 milligram on that side of things. And so there was no side effects reported, at least in most of the studies, at that low of a dose. And their doses started at, I think, 5 and then ramped up from there. And so with that, I mean, how can that not be top tier? That's the next generation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's most refined by far.
I will say, though, there was a difference in what people experience with tirzepatide and retatrutide.
Yeah.
Like some people will experience like an increase in heart rate with Retta.
Yep.
Some people,
which is the glucagon burning the fat on that. So almost everyone's going to experience an increase in resting heart rate as a result of that. It just is dependent on how much you're seeing your resting heart rate increase.
I feel like this also changes per person, but some people may feel a greater appetite suppression on tirzepatide, but inversely also in respective, I mean, to how slow their gut motility is kind of becoming, I guess. Versus like if you're on retatrutide and you're trying to reach a certain level of like appetite suppression, you'll find like your gut motility may slow more. I mean, it doesn't happen to everybody, but it's something that I personally experienced, and I know a couple other people have, or a few other people have, which I think is a little bit more substantial to pay attention to if you have gut issues, or if you're in the bodybuilding industry, especially if you're like prepping, for example. I've already talked about this in the last podcast about some people having issues going into Olympia using even like a dose as low as 3 milligrams of Retta per week. So
no one should be utilizing any of the GLPs in the last week
No.
or 2 weeks of a contest prep.
Yeah, people don't really, and I think we were talking about this yesterday, but they don't consider the gastric slowing and the fact that that's going to create a not the best showcase for you. I mean, you know, that
also,
distension of the gut is just
the change of insulin sensitivity as you come off, I guess, is a lot more substantial than I thought. Anecdotally, with some of the people that have been on it that we know, like how much they filled out in their peak was different drastically during their carb up when they came off of Retta versus when they were on
water
it.
retention, different fullness between being on it and off of it. That's a great point there too with the insulin sensitivity on that side of things. Yeah, gut motility and being bloated if you're doing a carb up because you're on it. Yeah, that's not going to work too well. And then also just in general with the slowing of the gastric emptying and how many people are already having issues staying regular in those last couple of weeks of contest prep too. You don't want to make that even worse and have everything back up. I mean, because that can get to a point where you actually have to go to the doctor to get that resolved.
Yeah.
What about tirzepatide, semaglutide, and mazdutide?
So tirzep, obviously, to your point, some people experience better appetite suppression on that than Retta. And so it's all personal preference, I think, on that side of things. So for certain use cases, especially for, you know, someone that's just looking for fat loss, they're not looking to compete, that glucagon addition and the increase in resting heart rate probably isn't worth it, right? Like your heart only has so many beats. You don't necessarily want to increase it if you don't have to. So yeah, I would put that top tier there because it's really situational and personal dependent, choosing between tirzep and Retta as an example. Mazdutide is a pretty cool one in that it's a GLP-1 and glucagon. It left out the GLP-2 because they found in the research studies people were maintaining their muscle mass better on this one. It did not have as much fat loss as Retta did. So you're getting maybe half the fat loss of Retta, which is still a substantial amount, but you're maintaining your muscle mass better.
I mean, could that just not be, you know,
offset by testosterone?
Like literally just like in their calorie consumption. Was calorie consumption like kept constant or like measured in this? Do you know?
I don't believe
calorie or protein consumption.
Yeah, well, I know definitely that the macros were not tracked in that one. I think it was just calories on that side, comparing the two.
Interesting.
Yeah,
always makes me wonder, like, if I mean, obviously you see the results on a normal general population, but if you were to pick people that are all counting their macros or like have a strict diet regardless of how much of any of these GLPs you're on, like what muscle loss are you going to be seeing? You know?
Well, especially when you add in anything in the fitness world where people are already on anabolics on top of it. Is it really going to reduce the muscle mass that much?
Well, I think the studies too, kind of to your guys' point, it's pretty subjective because they're doing studies for the average person, right? I mean, the average person is probably getting 50 grams of protein a day, maybe, right? Like if they're kind of thinking about it. And protein intake is just such a big thing for the bodybuilder community. Those studies of muscle wasting, it's not necessarily contributive the same way for that community, especially when you're taking insulin, when you're taking testosterone, whatever, it's the preservation is going to be a lot higher than on paper.
For sure. Well, that goes to the same the antibody, new ones that were coming out that are $1,500 a week or something along those lines for it, that they're like, oh, you could even build a little bit of muscle on it. In the research studies, it was like half a pound of muscle. It's like you stick someone on TRT, they're going to get more muscle than that. And they're not spending $1,500 a week on some cockamamie concoction that came out there.
It's a marketing. It's a marketing thing.
Exactly.
One of the things I really liked most, though, about everything that we've talked about in the past, and like what you utilize for yourself, what you even have on your page or what you even create is like all your compounds, all your compounded supplements, and even like your injectable supplement with like the one called Life Support.
Yep.
With glutathione, NAC, and glutamine. I don't know what else is in there. But honestly, all of these are pretty fucking awesome because you definitely use all the ingredients that I would probably use too in supplements to, for example, for your cardiovascular health supplement and blood pressure lowering supplement, you utilize nanokinase, Arjuna, you utilize, I don't know what else you have in there.
Pine bark in that one as well. We even have a nootropic added in there, an all natural one, of course, on that line. It's great for taking it in the morning to reduce the blood pressure. Some people experience, blood pressure spikes in the morning with like a cortisol spike associated with, especially if you have alarms set. Generally that's going to spike your cortisol when the alarm goes off and you're like, oh, I gotta get up. For me, I gotta get my daughter ready for her school and things like that. And so taking that in the morning, that's kind of what I designed that for. But everything there is designed to keep the research subjects healthy and to be able to extend the life of not only the research subjects, but also the research studies and things like that folks are doing. Look, I'm in this game to make people healthy. If I'm ever so lucky that this company blows up, I plan on utilizing some of the money to fund research studies that we don't normally get to see, that are more focused for our industry and things like that.
Right.
So that's what everything is geared towards, is maximizing health at the end of the day.
You do still want that cortisol spike that's like 2 hours before you wake up, though.
Yeah, but the
pressure
panic one, like a lot of, especially longevity folks, which they're right about, they don't necessarily set alarm clocks. They're more about training the body to wake up at a certain time every single day. So that way it's more of a gradual wake up than alarm blaring in your ear and knowing that you have 20,000 things to do. And what do most people do when they first wake up? They check their email. And you all of a sudden, I know I was guilty of this because I worked in IT. I would immediately check my emails to see, oh God, what happened in Europe and Asia while I was asleep. And then, I'm getting even more of a cortisol spike that's not necessarily healthy, like the one to wake you up is.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's jump to this Q&A real quick because we're running out of time and I'm bad at this. One of the questions was, do we finish the donut?
Well, I will say that I finished my 3 donuts. I don't know if you finished your donut, the Texas-sized one.
I was munching on that a little bit.
She was gas, bro.
Oh, yeah, he's cheating.
When
He's
you guys
getting
were
some
at dinner, and
help.
I was like, ooh.
I mean, I put down a apple fritter, a cinnamon roll, and a Bismarck. So
Yeah.
Fire. Did you say one of your favorite peptides was YK11 too? Or not peptides, what were we talking
myostatin
about
inhibitor, SARM kind of thing. Yeah. I do really like it. You do have to be very mindful of your inflammation markers while you're on it, because it can spike it. It will spike it very high if you continuously using it. But it's honestly kind of like, if Tren and Winstrol had a baby together.
Fire.
That's because you're getting strength, some aggression. In certain people, they experience aggression increases, and the dryness out of it too. So, it's a good one, but it's also one that you have to be mindful of. Yeah, because I know personally, I saw my CRP marker get up to 20. Went off of it, went on high dose ARA. Like I was getting the IV infusions of that. Utilized a lot of glutathione during that time. And then in a month, I got my blood markers checked again. And my CRP was down less than 1.
Nice.
Fire.
So, in 30 days, it went from 20 to less than 1. Yeah. Utilizing the right, antioxidants, essentially, but then also, obviously, coming off of the YK.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's rapid fire through these questions.
All right.
Matt Black asks how to get Follistan to work without messing up blood work drastically.
So follistatin, there's some unique new items coming out on it. Like a certain company came out with a long-acting one on that side of things. And then there's always been the shorter acting ones that you generally have to hit into the muscle right after you work out.
Yeah.
I think the bigger risk associated with follistatin or any myostatin inhibitor is that it causes all muscle to grow. That includes your heart. So, if you're utilizing those compounds, you're going to want to get, maybe a cardiac MRI, some imaging done to make sure that you don't have left ventricular hypertrophy or things like that. I know I personally experienced left ventricular hypertrophy when I was a strongman, which was purely related to the pressure I was constantly under. You got an 800-pound yoke on your back that you're running around with every week. You're deadlifting over 900 pounds. It's putting a lot of stress on your heart. When I switched to bodybuilding, I did the test a year later. I actually got my heart back to normal size.
Wow.
Fire.
Wow.
So. NR Garcia asks, what peptides would you personally use and which would you never touch? We kind of already touched this, especially the first part. Is there any others that you can think of that you would just not touch that we didn't mention?
I don't think so, but maybe my risk tolerance is a lot different than other people's.
Yeah. L Cool H asks, what can a type 2 diabetic take to keep sugars in range besides insulin to gain muscle, not fat?
I mean, that's obviously a tough one to answer because none of us are doctors here, and that's a serious medical condition.
Yeah, well, it's also very diet or related too. I mean, I know there's supplements that you could take that modulate blood sugar a little bit.
Off the bat, though, to give an answer, I was thinking IGF-1.
Yeah.
Could be utilized, but then you are going to have to stay on top of your insulin dosing because it can impact how much you need to use. So that's just something to be mindful of. But as a diabetic, I'm sure they're already very mindful of their blood sugar levels anyway.
Right.
But just know that there is an interaction there.
Yeah.
Plus, I feel like if you're using any form of IGF-1, it's probably a good idea to do some cancer screenings at some point.
Yeah.
Is it true that Mike likes to wear bikinis? Parentheses, he will understand this.
Yes. So that was always a joke I played on myself, having, gone from open bodybuilder to strongman to now men's physique.
That would be a sight to see, man.
That I competed in men's bikini. And so that was always my self-deprecating joke, to the point that we actually had one affiliated company with us make my code Bikini Mike.
Nice. Sick.
He announced that without telling me, but I was totally cool with it. That was pretty funny.
That's funny.
Quaid Isaac asks, how to store peptides long term, years or months? Years and months.
Years in the freezer. On that side of things, they're rather stable within the freezer. You can definitely get years out of them on that side of thing. Months. I mean, once you reconstitute any of these peptides, the clock is ticking on it. And so generally, none of them are lasting more than 30 days or so on that side. Now, there have been some interesting studies that different research peptide companies have been doing lately by leaving vials out to see how long they last. So I know I've seen at least one study done by a competitor, but props to them for thinking of this, that they left, I think it was BPC 157, out for 6 months, and it was still at the same concentration when they retested it.
BBC is a very stable
peptide. Yeah, go figure. They picked the tank of the peptides on that one.
I think there's going to be a lot of studies coming out about degradation of peptides. They're going to start doing a lot of that because it's really, if it makes sense from a clinic standpoint to be able to do that, because you can actually give timelines. The prescriptions have to be a certain amount of time, but you can give timelines of when it's going to degrade,
right?
Because right now it's a little gray area for what the degradation is. You know, there's general guidelines, right? Don't sit out in the sun and shake it.
I was about to say that.
All Nathan of them are light sensitive. Don't shake them up, because they can be fragile.
Sian Kelly asks, what legal precautions does someone take if running a peptide company?
That's a really good question, because that's constantly changing on almost a week-to-week basis as there's new regulations coming out, FDA coming out with new guidelines, things like that. So you need to do your initial research, but then it also helps to have some lawyers that stay on top of it to tell you, what new things are coming out, what to be mindful of, things like that. But, in general, nothing's for human consumption. Don't market it as if it's for human use or athletes' use or things like that. Myself, I can't provide any dosing or usage guidelines, when selling anything like that. And don't include syringes in the pack and things like that. I've seen a lot of dumb peptide companies that provided instructions. They included insulin needles with it, and go figure, they got shut down pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Because of all the drama of the last company that I was working with, and I'm not trying to point any fingers or anything, but you guys definitely have probably heard what was going on. I've been a little bit skeptical, to be honest, and I've been wanting to find an HRT company that I could work with and that I could get my blood work done with, and that would offer me some proper guidance without upcharging all of my homies and shit. So there's this kind of crazy opportunity that I feel like the universe has granted, because it's not something that I searched for necessarily, but ended up being through connections with my closest friends. And it's this new company I was working with, Optimize HRT, which Nathan was recently discussing. And I just gotta say, man, I'm really proud of everything that they've created and everything that they're standing for. They're trying to take advantage of the fact that they know what went wrong with the last HRT company and trying to make sure that that doesn't happen this time, if you know what I'm saying, and doing things the right way. So this company is where I am getting my blood work done from, and basically getting all my health measures and protocols for longevity checked. And basically the difference between an HRT clinic and a research chem gray market source is that the HRT clinic works with a 5083 compounding pharmacy. You can get all your peptides and your medications prescribed by the doctor. If you're not getting a hormonal peptide or medication such as testosterone, nandrolone, menstrual, or anavar, which you can get prescribed to yourself if the need is shown, such as like osteoporosis or some other muscle wasting disease, then luckily you can get the peptides prescribed to you without having to get blood work done. But they do offer a $100 membership that includes free blood work, which is normally a $420 panel every 3 months. And with the membership, you also get a wellness specialist that is like your peptide coach that will, with the doctor, give you the best peptide protocol or medication protocol to make sure you reach your goals. And these are goals such as fertility goals, cutting down and getting fucking jacked, composition goals, longevity goals, basically everything that you can imagine that is fucking sick for dudes. The other great thing, aside from getting everything prescribed, which obviously you can show your destinations if you're traveling, your prescriptions, so you're not getting thrown into jail in Tokyo or some shit. It is sent with cooling, needles, and instructions, which is actually illegal for research chem science. And in terms of safety and quality, Optimize HRT does work with a 5038 compounding pharmacy, in which the FDA checks for its inflow and outflow currents to make sure that there are no vortexes that cause contamination, which yields the highest threshold of safety, basically. So this is on an opinion by opinion basis. Like, if you decide that you want to go the cheaper route, then normally gray market sources that are research chem sites will normally offer these for cheaper. Since the company is still new, they are offering their peptides at the lowest cost that they can in respective to other HRT companies, because they are trying to get their member base up. So if you are wanting to join an HRT clinic, now is probably the time. And that link is going to be in the description if you guys are interested. You could also use code NILE whenever you apply, because that helps your boy out and gives me a little reference and gives me some creds. So they know I'm sick and that people actually like the podcast, which would be pretty awesome. Since I am helping with the start of this company, I want to make sure that this is the best company that could possibly give us the best experience. So if you guys happen to have any questions or any concerns, bring this shit up with me, man, because I want to make sure that we all grow this to be the best that we can, and we all grow together, obviously, because otherwise my podcast is shit and everything that I've like worked for is like fucking pointless. So that's what it's all about, bro. Is family and brotherhood and us getting fucking yoked.
The legislation, it's going to take a while to pass if it does. So what they're trying to do is just make it as hard as humanly possible to compound the medication and to have research chemical companies. It's kind of what you're saying, how the law changes week by week.
Yep.
That's a deliberate thing that they do. So they just want to make it as hard as possible.
It's not only the law side of things that they're going after. They also pressure the way that you can pay for these items as well. They put pressure on Visa, on MasterCard to not accept payments from our types of companies, whether that's telemedicine or research peptides or compounding pharmacies. Like, everyone's getting hit pretty similarly in that aspect. And so, if their goal is to make it so that you can't ever pay for it, that's, effectively how they're limiting its availability, I should say.
Yeah, there's a method to the madness.
Yeah.
Clarge asks, do you think there will be a time where there's actual pharmaceutical applications with these?
So I think that there obviously already are some
Yeah.
pharmaceutical applications on it. And I don't think that it's going to stop with like SS31, for example, where our community started utilizing it and the pharmaceutical companies were like, oh yeah, we did have that in the catalog and it does seem to be useful. I think there's going to be other areas too. Heck, we already showed all the benefits of Retta before they even entered phase 3 trials, so they already know they have a blockbuster on their hands, which will obviously make it much more difficult to get once it gets through its trials.
Yep.
Drew ask Mike what he thinks about microdosing Tren.
I do not agree with the 20 milligram a week stuff that is out there. I know that there are some theoretical benefits of it, but look, if you're going to utilize poison, you might as well get the maximum benefits out of it. I'm only kind of poisoning myself and I get minimal benefits. Oh, why? Just utilize it.
Fire. T. Bouchard asks, you kind of talked about this already, but ask Mike to describe the Krebs cycle and how it relates to various mitochondrial peptides.
Yeah, so I could research or cite a textbook as to the Krebs cycle produces the NADH and the FADH within is used for ATP production, but really what we had discussed before, which is the AMPK that sits on top of the Krebs cycle, is really the, I think, most interesting area, especially in our fitness realm lens to it. Given that the increase of the AMPK reduces the mTOR and how that can impact the muscle growth versus the cardio and fat loss benefits of it. So I think that's, and credit to Trevor for kind of coming up with some of these ideas of mitochondrial repair days or rest days, if you will. And then also both of us investigating further how much of an impact do these areas have on muscle gain too. That's certainly a research study I would love to fund, as there's limited in that area, because how many research companies want to spend money on muscle gaining, right?
Yeah, I do think some bodybuilding coaches still advise around at least 90 minutes of cardio per week in the off season. I mean, obviously this varies per person, and the your genetic propensity for cardiovascular disease is such a giant variance per person too, honestly. So, but I feel like if you have at least like 2 rest days, maybe you could do like some fucking long ass 45-minute sessions. I don't know, that kind of sucks.
You utilize something like AICAR, that 45 minutes is going to fly by. And you might have a hard time getting your resting heart rate, your active heart rate while you're doing that into the zone that you'd want to. I know for me personally, getting it to 130, I'm sitting there on like a 12% incline at 4 miles per hour, and I'm still sitting at like 105.
Wow.
I'm like, come on, I need this to increase a little bit more.
Yeah. Wow. Shoot with Paul asks, will the peptide world ever have something close to DNP?
Well, I think the closest right now would be BAM 15, but I don't know why you'd want something close to DNP, given how toxic it is. Is BAM 15 as effective as DNP? No, but is way less dangerous in that regards. And there's also new, let's say, delivery methods that are coming out for BAM 15 as well, because right now, traditionally, what you see is orally. More and more There's opportunities to have injectable version of it, which should increase its utilization. But again, these are mitochondrial uncouplers. The vast majority of the population doesn't need to go anywhere near these things. We have so many other opportunities for fat loss. Why are you going this dangerous route unless you're trying to, like, you're so close to being Mr. Olympia or something like that?
Yeah.
Like, I don't even think it would justify it if you're close to getting your pro card.
No.
At that point, if you're not making your living doing this, why are you doing something so dangerous?
Gotcha. Okay. I have one last question I ask everybody at the end of every podcast, but if you were to disappear from the world tomorrow and you had one message you could send to the entire world today, what would the message be?
That's a good question, man. I personally, man, and we were talking about this today, and it sounds kind of corny, but it's just be a genuine person, like just be genuine. And it goes from what we're talking about, dropping your ego and just being able to shoot for what you care for, and just be a genuine person, live genuinely, Yeah.
For me, it would be discussion is healthy.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if we are talking about peptides, if we're talking about anabolics. The online environment can be kind of toxic with people with absolute views and things like that, but discussion and disagreement is healthy because we all come to better conclusions. Same thing applies for politics. Like, just because you believe something in one certain way doesn't mean you should block out everyone else's opinions. You may not change yours, but at least you understand where someone else is coming from. And generally, two different opinions, the middle ground is the best solution for it. So I think we just need to be able to talk to each other in a less aggressive way.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you guys for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Sorry this was so straight, honestly. But I mean, I feel like we got a lot of information.
Yeah.
This was a blast.
Mike was the man to spit that stuff.
No, for sure. I had no clue what any of you guys were talking about the entire time.
Well, I'm so lucky that I got to meet you this week.
Me too, man. No, it's been a blast.
For sure.
It's been really fun.
This has been awesome.
Yeah.
Good call now on a trip to Austin.
Yeah, that was sick. I love it when my boys become boys.
Yeah, this is really cool.
Yeah. I was telling Niall, I was like, man, everyone, because I just met another one of his friends. I'm like, I love all your friends, man. They're so cool.
Yeah.
Good people attract other good people.
Seriously, yeah.
Yeah, so both of these guys, I didn't even know that Nathan was starting to work with a peptide company until recently, so I think that's super cool, especially since we were just talking about steroids 3 years ago.
Yeah, it's crazy how things evolve.
And yeah, honestly, Mike has just been a good friend that has supported me through my journey. So I really honestly did not know him through the peptide company. I just met Mike initially, and just the way that he was, honestly, with helping me through really just my oxidative stress issues. I just really wanted to manage my health markers the best I could. I just feel like he has a lot of valuable information for people, and especially in terms of longevity in a space that's so contradicting like bodybuilding. So I appreciate you for coming on, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. And heck, we became friends before APR was even really a full-fledged company. It was in its infancy at that point in time. Anyway, it's just more or less an idea.
Yeah. All right, love you guys. 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or everywhere you can find your podcasts, and subscribe to the YouTube channel because it gets us to guests and people that talk about drugs. Love y'all. Peace.